documentaire des Congolais. Soyons connectés sur les actualités des filles et des fils du pays, partout dans le monde. Découvrons des émissions de qualité, partageons notre savoir. Nous sommes à votre disposition pour vos émissions en direct de notre studio, dans vos églises et même dans vos maisons. Appelez-nous sur notre numéro WhatsApp. TBoss Brothers TV, tout le monde en parle.
Hi and welcome to Accompanied by Jess. As you already know, my name is Jess, and as you already know, on this platform we're here to share the deep, delicate secrets of young people of our generation. I am definitely back again, and I'm so happy to be back on this platform to share yet again another story. So let's get into this story today. As you can see by my title, why doesn't he listen? As you can see by my title, why doesn't he listen? Today's story is about a young lady called Vanessa, and her story of what she had currently gone through. And she actually emailed me her story as sharing and expressing what she had gone through when she was much younger. Now, Vanessa, at the age of 5, growing up until about the age of 10, was living with both her parents before they had been separated. During this period of time, it was quite a very, very hard time for her. Why? Because at that time of being the age of 5 up until about 8, her parents were going through issues of divorce. Now, heading issues between whether or not they wanted to stay together. So she was in between her parents' relationship, where it was a rocky situation. She continued, she was obviously in primary school, she continued growing up. Her mum and dad were both working parents. At the age of 8, it came to a position where I believe that their parents' relationship had reached their climax. She was in between a domestic violent relationship with her mother, her father consistently abusing her mother. Some of the conflict arise due to difference of religion. I'm going to touch on this topic just before I continue. Now, difference of religion, why? Because the father was Muslim and the mother was Christian. Many of the times they had gone through times where they were fighting all the time, conflicts because the father never wanted the mother to go to church on Sundays, and also because they had quarreled that Vanessa shouldn't be going to the mosque and practicing such religions. However, because the mother was a Christian and because she understood the values of submission in her Christian walk, she permitted Vanessa to actually take part in the whole Muslim Islam religion from time to time, just to respect her father. However, at the age Vanessa was at, it was against her will and what she had wanted. I believe that at the age of 8, even sometimes 7 or 6, you are able to actually understand or give your valid opinion of what you want to do. However, the father did not take heed to that, but consistently pressurized Vanessa to consistently go and to give into religious practices of Islam. So going back to as the age of 8, it reached a climax. It came to a point where one day Vanessa had come home and the father was at home. At that time, the father was under influence of alcohol, and he was a heavy drinker at the time. Despite his Islamic beliefs, he was a heavy drinker and also a person who was heavily into cannabis. You would take it quite often, and he would literally, he wouldn't really consider the opinions of others. Many of the times, Vanessa's mother would actually ask the father why was his cause as to why he took so much of these alcohol consumptions and cannabis. He would literally ignore and wouldn't open up to that situation, or wouldn't even go into the conversation as to why. So that happened that one evening, as she had finished school, her mother came to pick her up, come into the house. The father, out of nowhere, began to abuse the mother right in front of her, smacking her to the ground and forcing her to leave the house for no reason whatsoever. He had been under the influence of alcohol and cannabis. He had been smoking. There were sachets of cannabis on the table, and he was literally beating her. Vanessa, unfortunately, at her young age, had to sit there and literally watch the entire episode of what had happened. the entire episode of what had happened to her mother. And since then, she has actually been scarred. Another incident happened where she had actually told me was that a situation had arisen where her father's side had come over, one of her aunties from her father's side had come over and had made accusations to the father, claiming that the mother had gone out cheating on the father for no complete reason. This again increased another battle within the house. It got to a stage where Vanessa's mother had to take Vanessa and her and leave the house to stay away for a moment. To literally stay away for a moment. At some point, they filed for divorce, I believe, at around the time that Vanessa had reached the ages of 8 to 9 years old. At that time, they were only traditionally married, and obviously, as you know, there was no civil papers, nothing like that. They had to separate. Luckily for you know, the mother, she was pregnant with her second child. However, she did not know at the time that she was filing for divorce. So despite she was receiving domestic violence and all these things, she didn't know she was carrying another child. So Vanessa had a sibling coming on the way, and her parents were going through domestic issues within the house. Now, for herself, Vanessa, growing up, she has found it difficult. Today, she's at the age of 20. She has been finding it difficult to even settle in any relationship. Of course, she's young. She's got time before she settles in an actual stable relationship. But she explained to me that she has issues staying in a stable relationship due to the fact that her parents' relationship has completely scarred her. She said that whenever she encounters a man or anyone, she feels the need to fight them. Now she has had her younger sister, who is much younger than her, about a 12-year gap, who's much younger than 8-year gap, who's much younger than her, 8-9-year gap, who's much younger than her, who she actually tries to encourage her to literally have self-confidence in herself, not to beat herself down, that, you know, that she may be ugly a certain way because her father's not there to speak good things upon her life. On many occasions, Vanessa has seen her dad walking on the street and has tried to mend the relationship, but her dad completely refuses to listen to her, to speak to her. In fact, when he sees her, he consistently insults her. Likewise with the same with her younger sibling, who's also a female. Whenever she sees her father and is told to say hi to her father, he comes and he completely disregards the both of them. This neglect has caused so much anger to pile up, and whenever it comes to men or any situation to do with men, unless they have built a stable relationship, whether it be grandfather, cousins who are males, and uncles, unless it be family members who are really close and have actually tried their best to take up that position of being a father in their life, they tend to argue and to fight with them a lot. They will tend to argue with family friends if they try to say anything negative about their parents, about their mother, about anything in their house or anything they have. They would literally be at it. So she has kind of come to me and she has spoken about her story of what she's felt growing up as a young female, you know, being in a house of domestic violence and seeing her mother being brutally beaten, especially when she was pregnant and she hadn't known. She says that she feels angry that, you know, at that time her father knew that her mother was pregnant at later stages, but yet still continued to still be abusive. And even when they had separated, completely left homes, he was still sending threatening text messages, threatening phone calls, threatening family members on the mother's side, even sending his own family members to threaten her mother. And being a daughter and a young girl in the midst of that, she feels extremely violated and annoyed at the whole situation. Now it's come to a place where her mother has had to come to a place where she's come and she's been in several different relationships, and she's found it difficult to adhere or to get along with her mother's different partners, and it's been very difficult for the mother to settle in a new relationship. One, because the daughters don't approve of the different partners that she brings. They feel like, you know, they're very protective over their mother. They don't know whether or not the man is going to treat the mother right. They don't know if they're going to go through another recycling of that. And already, because their father doesn't speak to them, it's kind of like they don't know how to feel about men. Now, this is something that, of course, this is not a first story that I've heard when it's come to young girls and men, and especially if they've been in a position where they've seen so much domestic violence. Of course, a lot has been said in this short time that I've spoken. You know, one being seeing domestic violence whilst knowing that their mother was pregnant at that time, and even when it was found out that she was pregnant and she'd spoken about it, they were filing for divorce, they were moving houses. It had caused a lot of psychological, emotional issues. Already she's also had, even growing up, behavioral issues at school where people think she's rude and she doesn't appear to feel that she's actually rude. The same thing with her younger sister, where they feel like she has a temper, she's always angry. Both of them have been targeted and labeled things by their father's side of the family, and so has their mother. They've tried their best in everything to explain themselves to men's situations, but nothing has actually changed that. Now, Vanessa, I must say, you know, I commend you so much for your boldness to write about something so big, because you're not, you know, this is something that you're speaking about, not only yourself, which you have gone through, but also your mother. And I want to say thank you for even giving me the opportunity to speak about that, you know, to speak about something so delicate as that, especially to disclose what your mother's kind of been through. So I want to just say thank you. Now, I commend you as a young girl who's trying, especially at the age of 20, you are trying to be the best role model to your younger sister, and you've even tried to mend the relationship with your father. Unfortunately, it hasn't even resolved. And of course, a father plays a vital part in a young woman's life. I believe personally, like, you know, the first advice I would personally give to you as a young girl, if you see that, you know, somebody you're trying to fix relationship with, number one, especially with your dad, just to go into that area, somebody you're trying to fix relationship with is not coming to you, is not trying to come to an understanding with you, I personally believe that you need to now take the time to, as easy as it's said, rather than done, take that time to just leave it for now. If you see them on the street, if you see that they consistently come towards you and they're attacking you verbally, saying things towards you, to your family members on your father's side, and it's caused so much commotion, I'd recommend personally for you to leave it. Just try your best. I know it's so easy to say, but literally for now, give it a bit of time. You first focus on yourself. Focus on you being a better woman, the best that you can. I know that it has affected your relationship with males in terms of the fact that if a guy tries to approach you, you know, just to genuinely be friends or to, you know, speak to you, that has been an effect and something that you have obviously had your guards up. I can only say to you now is that not all men are the same. And I know that especially in our community of young people, and especially in this generation, there's always a meme that says, men are trash, men are trash. And personally, I don't abide by this, this quote that goes around, that young people spread around, men are trash, men are trash. I can promise you this, there are good men out there. There are good men out there, and I personally believe that you have already mended good relationships with some of your uncles on your mother's side, some of the your cousins on your mother's side, and they have been good role models to you, and they have actually considerably played the father role. This is to tell you that not all men are the same. For those guys that are coming to approach you to genuinely be friends, to not even pursue anything deeper, not to even come to cause any grief to you, I personally say that try your best to put down the guard, be yourself, let that, you know, try your best to like settle down the guard. It will take time. It will take time. And I know that, you know, sharing a story like this, there are other females, even males, who are on the other end where they've seen their mothers be abusive, their mothers say things, you know, you are actually helping them. So I just want to say thank you on top of everything. So One, put your guard down, try your best to slowly put it down. And also, if somebody is consistently hitting on something that really offends you, that really triggers your anger, that really, you know, takes you to a place where you're consistently angry, your anger is going to another level, try your best to keep away as much as you can. You may see them on the street, you may see them on the road. Yes, just ignore them and walk on. Literally, that is the best advice I can give you at this period of time. Whereas with your younger sister, who hasn't really lived much to see everything that you have seen, yes, it is difficult that she also had been introduced to her father, and her father doesn't even want to associate himself with her. I just give the same advice. Tell her to just keep going and keep walking on. If you have a particular uncle, as you say, you know, there's uncles in the family that you get along. If there's a particular one that you see is very close to your mother, and, you know, that's that person, hold on tightly to them, speak to them, ask that, you know, speak to them, tell them to give you encouraging words, which I believe they're doing already as a father figure. Encouraging words to make you, to build your self-confidence. Another thing that I encourage you as a young female to do, especially if nobody's there to do it for you, stand in the mirror and encourage yourself. Stand up and encourage yourself. Speak word over yourself. Speak declarations. Tell yourself you're beautiful. Tell yourself you're gonna go far. Tell yourself encouraging and uplifting words. You are at the age of 20. You are so ambitious. There's so much life ahead of you. And I'm very, very sure that despite the circumstances you have gone through, this is one of the stories that you have told me personally that has impacted, I'm very sure, so many more other young people. So, you know, take the time to declare the word, good words upon yourself. I believe they call it the law of attraction. Other people will call it declarations. Keep doing that. This is something that's going to take you so far, so far. Declare these things upon yourself. Another thing that I would also recommend, I know you have times where your standards are very high towards the partners that your mum brings, but just know that your mother also deserves happiness. And I believe that if she has gone out to look for love, you know, give her that time. You know, give her that time for her to actually see that she can have a supportive person along her side. It is not easy to have gone through domestic abuse, to raise children on your own technically for such a long time without the support of the father, without none of his consideration, to do everything by yourself. So be very understanding and willing to understand that your mum has worked hard. Now is her time to kind of look for somebody, or I would say allow somebody to come into her life and for her to have that joy. And I believe that take your time and don't be too harsh on a man that comes in. If a man has come in, yes, give them the time, observe them. You know, observe this partner that she wants to bring in the house. Observe this man that she's going to try and reintroduce into the family, you know, into your life, into your sister's life. Your say is so important to her. But if you neglect and you just literally say no to every man that comes through the door, imagine how your mom's going to feel. Put yourself in that shoes. Put yourself in that shoes. I'm very sure as a young girl, you yourself, you want to move on. You want to have a partner. You know, it's nearly not every single girl, but nearly every single girl's fantasy. You want to move on. You want to have a partner. You want to have children. You want to, you know, grow with someone. So put yourself in the shoes of your mother. That's literally what I would recommend for you. And by all means, I say literally you have been a fantastic older sister. For you to even slot yourself in the shoes of your younger sister, to get yourself to work the relationship, you've tried. If somebody's not pulling their weight, like I said, just leave it. But I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity just to hear your story. And I want to say thank you as well to your mother for being supportive to you, for being strong. I encourage you, as you're already saying, you're going to college. You're going to college. And you're trying at what you're doing in your studies. You're trying to, you know, you're working part-time. You're trying to build yourself up despite your anger issues, despite, you know, times you've been kicked out of class, you've had issues with teachers, people don't understand you, but you're still trying and you're still pushing forth. I absolutely commend you. Keep going. It is not the end of the world. If you want to take yourself to university, you want to build your own business, you want to create something of your own, I highly recommend it. Go out there, network, build yourself. You are so young, and I'm promising you there's so much ahead of you. So I just want to say thank you so much. Like, to hearing your story, you are literally a brave young girl. So this is the story of why doesn't he listen. Like, literally, like I said before, there are so many young children in the middle of domestic violence relationships, and I believe it's still continuing. There have been cases that I've even heard prior to this which are even worse. Young mums with newborn babies in their hands, and they're literally being brutally beaten to the ground with the child in their hands. Fathers, women, literally, this, I'm actually speaking generally, you know, alcohol addiction, weed, some people are addicted to weed. Literally, try your best. If you are under the influence of these things, literally what you're doing is out of your control. You are only destroying your own life. You're actually harming the emotions of others around you. You need to also understand that there is something that probably you are facing, that you are going through, that you need to open up, that you need to share with someone else, you know. This is actually to touch back, Vanessa, like, your dad could have been going through something that you don't know. He doesn't know how to portray it to your mum. He doesn't know how to portray it to his own family members. He doesn't know how to act. And he feels like the only comforting thing to go to is to alcohol and is to cannabis. Each person has their own story, and I believe that, you know, as much as you've actually felt that he's abused you, he's abused your mother, have an open heart. Stretch yourself. And I believe the best way for you to even move forward is to also forgive. Forgiveness is a very huge factor in everything. So I've touched on so many different advices, so I'm just going to summarize it a last time again. 1, if somebody is really stepping on your toes, you've tried working, they're not pulling their weight, you've tried mending the relationship, you've tried giving them the opportunity, literally, as easy as it's said than done, leave it. 2, I would actually put forgiveness inside now. Forgive, not only for that person, but for yourself. Try your best to forgive. Why? Because forgiveness will open up doors for you that you didn't know. Forgiveness will allow you to live a life that is free. You will allow yourself to be free in everything. 3, do allow your mother's partners to feel comfortable whenever they're coming to approach, whenever a man's coming to approach. It is easy said than done, based off the place that you have come from. But allow your mum to also live as well. Allow your mum to experience, okay, I'm also taking the decision to open up. I believe that your mum has reached the point where she herself has forgiven your dad. Remember that your dad was the one that abused your mum. And if your mum has taken the time where she said, okay, I'm ready to move on, it means that she's let go of all the things that's in her heart towards your father. Number 4, speak good words. Declare things upon yourself. Encourage your sister. Declare things upon her. And whoever you see as a father figure in your life, take heed to them. Take heed to them. Whoever that you see is a father figure in your life that is from your mother's side, who's supportive, who encourages you, latch onto them. See them as a father figure that will help you, that will enable you to grow. So that's everything that I have to round up. And yet, once again, literally, thank you. You don't know how many people are going through this and how many people you have touched. Vanessa, you are a bright, bold girl. Of course, I haven't disclosed her actual real name. This is to protect her and to protect her information. But today she shared her story, and I'm so glad for all of you that have tuned in this evening. Thank you so much for everybody that has supported, and I will see you next week at 6 p.m. on the same platform. If you also would like to share your story, please do not feel afraid to message me at accompaniedbyjess@gmail.com. Somebody out there wants to hear your story. Somebody out there wants to experience and hear something else that they're going through, that they don't know how to vocalize, and your story could help them. So thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I'll see you next week again at 6 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.
TBoss Brothers TV, désormais sur satellite et en RDC. Soyons connectés avec l'excellente